Hello everybody, my name is David Girling. Many of you have already met me. I'm the Employability Director in Dev. It's great to have Fergus here for our latest fireside chat. Ore, who is a student on the MA Global Development, I think I've got that right, is going to be asking questions, a few questions, and then we'll hand it over to you guys to ask questions as well. Thank you, Fergus. It's always great to hear you speak. Thank you, Ore, for agreeing to be our sort of host speaker today. And I'm going to turn my speaker off and hand over to you, Ore. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, David. And I'm very grateful to the School of Global Development for the opportunity. Special shout out to Shem as well for allowing me to do this. So, like David said, my name is Oreoluwa. I'm from Nigeria, and I'm currently studying for a MA in Global Development. And I will be your moderator for today. So this is going to be a very interactive session. So if you've got questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. And today, our guest is Ambassador Fergus Auld, the British ambassador to Azerbaijan. Really excited to have you here. We would love that you say a little bit more about yourself.
Thanks, Ore, and thanks, David, and thanks all of you for joining. So, I'm Fergus Auld. I have been ambassador out here in Baku for just over 3 years now. I have been a diplomat for 26 years now. I did my master's in development studies at Dev between 97 and 98, which feels like a long time ago. I'm ready to answer questions, any questions that you have. You will find that there's a theme that emerges through my answers, that there are two types of people in life: people who plan quite carefully their lives and careers ahead, have a long-term plan and stick to it, and people who don't. I'm very much in the second camp rather than the first. Both are entirely valid ways of living your life, but you will find that I have followed what seemed the right thing at the time rather than having a deeply thought out plan. But Ore, I'm handing back to you. What would you like to ask?
Ambassador Auld, it's one
Please, Fergus.
Okay, Ambassador Fergus. It's wonderful to have you here, and we'll start from the very beginning of your journey. So let's talk about your early career. So the first question would be that what first sparked your interest in international development, and how did that lead you to studying at UEA?
So I think a really important experience for me came in a year out between school and my first degree. So I grew up in Edinburgh, went to school in Edinburgh, and in a year out, I spent some time working as a teaching assistant in a British school. And then I spent 4 months as a volunteer teaching in a school in Nepal, up in the mountains. And that was an eye-opening, life-changing experience. So I did that. I came back, did my 3 years of studying English literature at York University. I did a qualification in teaching English as a foreign language. I spent a couple of years backpacking and teaching English as a foreign language in South and Southeast Asia and Australia. I really was not ready in my early 20s to think in a structured way about my career at all. And it was when I came back from those couple of years of traveling that I decided it was time to go back to university to study a bit more. And the experiences I'd had as a teacher and traveling around in Asia made me realize that actually a career as a development professional would be interesting. And I thought doing a master's in development studies would be a little more focused and career orientated than my first degree. So I came back and loved my year doing dev.
Exciting. So teaching, traveling, those were the things that really made you become passionate about development. Okay, leads me to my next question. So when you look back now, how did your studies in development influence your early career choices and eventually lead you to diplomacy?
Yeah. Well, I guess, I mean, when I finished my master's, I was really hoping to work for a development NGO. That was plan A. But what I found was that the master's and a bit of teaching experience overseas alone was not enough to make an immediate jump into those big competitive organizations. There was a sense of having to do unpaid work as an intern, perhaps in London for a period of time. That was quite difficult to afford. And so at the same time as I was exploring what would be possible in terms of development NGOs, I began an application to join the civil service fast stream, and found rather unexpectedly that the knowledge and skills that I built up through being a teacher, through my master's, through traveling, actually gave me lots of the skills that were the ones that the civil service was looking for. And so within a year of finishing at UEA, I had joined the Foreign Office, having spent a few months working in the Department of Health beforehand. And so there was, after a rather meandering path before Dev, it was then a relatively straight path from Dev to joining the Foreign Office. And what I found was not so much in my first job in the Foreign Office, which was working on nuclear non-proliferation, which was quite a kind of a hard landing in diplomacy, quite serious. It was my first posting overseas to Thailand, where I was working on human rights. I was working on environmental policy. I was trying to understand and be able to describe a kind of slow burn conflict that was going on in the south of the country. I was working on gender issues. And these were all directly related to things that I had studied during the Masters, and made me feel that actually diplomacy was the right career for me. And 26 years later, I have found it to continue to be challenging and interesting and varied. So I feel like I landed on my feet.
Amazing. And I just think a lot of people here would like to know, are there any pivotal moments or mentors, early in your career years, that's helped you? Because I know a lot of us have maybe some difficulty or need some insight from older people or people who have gone ahead of us. So we just want to know, were there mentors or moments that really helped your career fall in place?
So that's a really good question. And I think there were certainly moments. And I mean, I found when I was doing my master's at UEA, it was my peers, it was the students around me that I felt I learned as much from as the lecturers, with no disrespect to David and the team. And I think it's been the same through my career, that I've found, there have been some senior colleagues who have been important. But one of the wonderful things about a career in diplomacy is the working in a lot of different cultures, working in embassies, which are usually a blend of about one UK-based diplomat to 3 country-based colleagues. So working with Thais and Russians and Indians and now Azerbaijanis, that I've always felt I've learned from and been supported by the people that I've been working with. I think the Foreign Office is quite good in terms of fostering skills development, to be quite learning focused and encouraging us individually to think about that, and as managers and leaders to think about that. So I think it's probably the people around me that have been more important than particular mentors. But that's, we all learn in different ways and from different people. And there have certainly been, pivotal moments. I think in that first posting in Thailand, I was part of the team that was deployed immediately after the Asian tsunami in December 2004. So I went down to Phuket. I was one of the Thai speakers in the embassy and the press spokesperson for the embassy. And that was a real experience of feeling that I was able to make a concrete difference to people in significant difficulty. But it was pretty tough and harrowing at times. But it's through moments like that that you realise a little more about what you're capable of and what particularly motivates you. And I think one of the reasons I did Dev, one of the reasons I'm a diplomat now, is feeling that I want to make a positive difference in one way or another. And that was a positive difference. It was more tangible than some of the other work I was doing.
Amazing. Thank you so much for this insight. I find it that it resonates so much with me because we have different people from different cultures and there's just so much to learn from them.
Yeah.
So I believe that everyone here would agree that we should be sensitive and pick lessons from people around us. So we've talked about your past. Who would like to move forward to what is currently happening now. So I would like to ask that you've been to development classrooms and now you're at world stage. You represent UK and navigate complex issues every day. And we would like to pick into this and then find out, are there challenges that you face working in development and especially in Azerbaijan at the moment? And how do you overcome them?
Yeah. So, I mean, it is a pretty remarkable time to be a diplomat. It's a pretty remarkable time to be a development professional in other fields as well. But it is an unusually kind of volatile world in which we are working, and being the ambassador in the only country that borders both Russia and Iran. It has been a pretty interesting few years here, because of course what is happening in Ukraine, or a couple of months ago the conflicts between Iran and Israel, have a pretty immediate sense of what is going on when you're in a country that's bordering both. On a more positive side, Azerbaijan and its neighbour Armenia have been technically in conflict for 3 decades, and right now they are closer to a sustainable peace than they have been over those 3 decades. And so working to help try and bring that peace about and make it sustainable is an immediately motivating thing to do. There are lots of different kinds of challenges. There are personal challenges in an internationally mobile career. I have got 3 children, all born overseas, in my postings to Thailand and to India. But at the stage of the career I'm at, and with one of them just about to finish school, my wife and younger daughter are back in the UK rather than here. We've always been in other postings together, and so that can be challenging. I think there are different kinds of challenges if you're going to choose a career where you know that structurally you're going to move every few years. That's part of what makes it fresh and exciting, but it can also make it a challenge as well. And I guess, one of the things that I've learned about myself, and one of the things I advise other people, it's really important to know what motivates you. It's important to know, what the levels of your personal resilience are, and what makes that challenging, and to try and make choices accordingly. And of course, what motivates you and what you may find challenging changes over time. So what is appealing, what was appealing as a diplomat in my late 20s can feel a bit different 25 years later.
Been really insightful, I must say, and I'm actually glad that you're talking about the challenges that you face. This is going to also like tell students like me that it's not all going to be rosy, and like you have to be prepared. And I like one thing you said about how like you have to always remember what motivates you. I think that's like really important. Thank you, Ambassador Fergus. We'll move to the next question, and it's from your experience so far. Would you like to tell us what skills or mindsets you think are essential for someone who wants to have a successful career in development?
I think in diplomacy specifically, and there's a lot of overlap, but that's probably what I can talk about better. There are key elements to being an ambassador. Say, one of those. I'm fascinated that you've just spent a couple of days learning about influencing policy, because of course, as a diplomat, a core part of our role is about networking and influencing. As an ambassador, I need to know the people in Azerbaijan who make decisions and make decisions that are important for UK interests here, and the people that influence the people that take those decisions. And so a large part of the role is building networks of influence, and that takes time, and it takes skills that I guess I had done 23 years as a diplomat before becoming ambassador here, and that is a key skill that you build up over time. I mean, I found that actually the background in being an English teacher was really useful in terms of some of the soft skills. I mean, it taught me I was teaching in different cultural environments, teaching people from different backgrounds, teaching adults and teaching children, and some of the confidence you learn in how you communicate, and the ability to speak in front of a class as well as speaking to individually has been useful. But one of the new things about being an ambassador to being a diplomat before is you're operating on a different scale in terms of how you are engaging and influencing, and of course today engaging through media, whether traditional or social media, is also really important, and you have to be used to being a public persona in a way that you're not, in Azerbaijan, rather unexpectedly, if I go into a supermarket, somebody may recognise me and want to talk to me. That's not my experience when I come home to Kent. So there are different things that are important. I think, as well as that networking and influencing part, the communication internally is important as well. I see that I need to be a bit of a storyteller as well, to explain a country that not many people in the UK know very much about, and that's true for politicians or ministers or officials as well. So to be able to explain why Azerbaijan matters to UK interests, and how we need to engage and influence in order to deliver those interests is a key part of the role as well. And then I guess one thing which will be true across many different types of development profession as well as diplomacy is, as you become more senior, you take on more leadership roles, how you manage teams and deliver through other people rather than just yourself, is likely to be an increasing amount of what you do, and the level at which you are doing that leads to, you recognize you need to operate quite differently in different contexts, and that you need to work through people in different ways. So building those leadership skills as well is important, and that's something where experience really matters. I have got things wrong in managing some people early on. I have found that understanding that there are people who are motivated by different things and that I need to work with in different ways, understanding that there may be some types of people that rub you up the wrong way, but you learn from that being rubbed up the wrong way. That's part of the process over time.
Thank you so much. I feel like this is a lot. And from what you just said, I've picked out some skills, and I believe everyone is jotting things down. You said networking, you said internal communications, you said cultural sensitivity.
Yes.
Yeah, confidence, social media management and engagement. You said storytelling, which I find really fascinating because it's important to be able to tell your story and be able to convince people. You also said leadership ability and managing teams, and especially within context. This is really incredible, I must say, and I know everyone is learning so much right now. I would like to take a little pause and ask that people ask questions.
Would anyone like to ask a question?
Toby, you have a question?
Oh, I've got a couple questions.
Okay.
Yeah. So you mentioned your language skills earlier, being like in Thailand. Were those something which you picked up during teaching, or were they something which a skill which you got to learn on your job?
So one of the brilliant things about the British diplomatic service, and there are not many diplomatic services that are invest as heavily in the language of their diplomats as we do. I have learned over my career Thai and Russian and now Azerbaijani. That has taken about 3 years out of my 26 years, has been intensive language training. So before Bangkok, I spent 9 months in the UK and then 9 months on immersion language training in Thailand. For Azerbaijan, I spent about a year in the UK and a month and a half on immersion language training here. And that really sets us apart from most other diplomats, especially in a country like Azerbaijan. I mean, it's a language that's quite closely related to Turkish and a number of other Turkic languages in the region, but there's not many other ambassadors that speak Azerbaijani. And so I use it absolutely all the time because Azerbaijanis love it. They feel it's a sign of deep respect for the people and the culture that I have taken the time to communicate with them in their own language. And it just adds an enormous kind of richness to engagement here. It means that, I arrived in the country with a pretty good grounding in terms of the politics and the history and the culture, and was immediately able to play that back to people. So because being a public figure is important, my kind of core brand in Azerbaijan is the ambassador that speaks Azerbaijani, and therefore people feel that I am, it gives me an enormous advantage if I'm trying to either understand and communicate what's happening in the country, or if I'm trying to engage anyone and influence. So it is something that we do within the Foreign Office. That's part of the role. Part of the conditions of becoming ambassador were to get to a certain level in the language. But I would say there are broader lessons there in terms of, as Ore was saying, that, the cultural intelligence, the ability to operate in different contexts a fundamental part of that is showing respect and understanding of the people that you are trying to engage for whatever reason, and having, there are times where I've started a speech and I've given the first couple of lines in Azerbaijani and got a round of applause for that, and then carried on to deliver the whole speech in Azerbaijani, and people are incredulous. So even a little bit, people really respond to.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I hope that answers your question.
Did Toby have a second question?
Oh,
I did have a little follow-up question, if that's okay. Like, if we were interested in learning a language, like just like as a hobby, but also like thinking about like careers and like in development or like diplomacy, like which would you recommend, sort of like picking up?
So, I mean, I learned a few languages at school. So for me, I knew that I liked learning languages and had a head for learning languages. And I think they are, for me, the privilege of being paid to learn a language is, again, one of the reasons I'm still a diplomat now. I mean, I think at the moment in the Foreign Office, we particularly value probably Mandarin, Arabic, Russian in terms of the harder languages to learn. But we will train people. We want all of our ambassadors to be able to speak the local language to C1 level, which is the level below. Essentially being as close to a native speaker as a non-native speaker can be, so that I'm able to do the business that I need to do in that language. But, I hadn't learnt those languages before joining the office. So if there is a part of the world that you're interested in, if there's a language which you are curious to learn, for me, the openness to to learn different things, to be curious and follow that curiosity is massively important in terms of following, deciding what career path you want to follow.
I can see Jacob has a question, but before we take Jacob's question, I would like to do like a rapid fire session with Ambassador Fergus. So I'm just going to be asking you some questions and you have to answer them like really rapidly, just to spice things up a bit. So can we go? Are you
ready? Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee. Although in Azerbaijan, tea is very important and I've started drinking it without milk here.
Okay, mountains or beaches?
Oh, mountains.
Delegate,
but I do love a good beach.
Okay, delegate or do it yourself?
Depends on the context.
Okay, books or podcasts?
Books.
Meetings or emails?
Meetings.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Interesting. Plan ahead or go with the flow?
Definitely go with the flow.
Celebrate small wins or wait for the big wins?
Say that again.
Celebrate small wins or wait for the big ones?
Celebrate small wins.
Amazing. Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Classic or trendy, rather?
Classic or trendy?
Yeah.
That's not one I've heard before. I will go classic.
Classic. What's your go-to comfort food?
Of all of the countries, Thailand is my favorite cuisine.
Interesting. Okay, so lastly, we would like to know how many languages can you speak?
So I can speak French, Azerbaijani, Russian, and Thai, but to different levels of capability.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, Jacob, you can ask your questions now.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. When you were asked about your challenges or some of the challenges that you've experienced in your career, I heard you mentioning the issue of being mobile most of the time, like moving around, and to the point that you've had about 3 kids outside. So I was thinking of asking, development work, most of the time you have to move around, you have to go to places. And this also has to do with you having a family, and you have to manage your family. I'm thinking, how do you sort of balance between your professional career as a diploma and or a development practitioner and your family? And sometimes you have to be in certain kind of meeting, you have to respond to a certain thing. At the same time, you have to cater for your family, you have to make sure things are right. So I'm just thinking, how do you sort of balance, or what advice do you give to be able to help young people like us?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the first thing is just to be aware of it, that it is a challenge, and it is something that you need to continue to negotiate, and feels different at different times. My wife and I got married 3 weeks before I began, or we began our first posting to Thailand, and at that stage, the Foreign Office was very generous in that it also paid for my wife Amy to learn Thai for 9 months. So when we got to Bangkok, she was able to work for the Thai Red Cross. She had a background in actually health development, and so was able to work in a Thai environment there. We had a couple of children in Bangkok. We came back to the UK. On our next posting to India, our third child was born, and each of the different, in many ways, the coming back to the UK with 2 children for the first time was a reverse culture shock, and took some getting used to. And I've got 2 children at university and one in her last year of school now. Their needs and their expectations of their father and their mother are different now. Almost 25 years into marriage, that's a different thing too. So, I mean, I think communicating with your spouse, with your partner, with your children, is the fundamentally important thing, and recognizing that their motivations and needs are going to change as well as your own. And at some points, I did a couple of jobs back to back in the UK because it was a particularly important time for the children's education. When I came out here, the plan was that my 2 younger children would come with me and finish school here. But actually, moving teenagers is different than moving younger children. I've learned all of those things as I've gone along. Plans don't always work out, and knowing what you're prepared to, knowing that what the trade-offs may be, and working through those trade-offs with the people that you love and the people that are important to you is really important. And there's no roadmap for that. You need to work those things through. I couldn't go back and tell my kind of 20-something-year-old self who joined the Foreign Office, this is the way it's going to be. This is how it. You need to make these choices now, because my 20-something-year-old self just wouldn't have been able to work all of that through. So it is challenging. We learn as we go, and some of the big lessons in life we need to learn and relearn in different contexts.
Thank you so much. Jacob, does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Thank you, Ambassador. I appreciate it.
Jacob,
does your wife call you Ambassador Fergus?
No, nobody calls me Ambassador Fergus. It's one of the things in the embassy. There are some people who are only comfortable to call me ambassador, despite the number of times they say, "Please call me Fergus." They just don't feel it's appropriate. Sometimes outside of the embassy, I'm called Your Excellency, which takes a bit of getting used to. I'm always most comfortable just being Fergus, and certainly my in order. there's no one better for grounding me from my kind of delusions of self-grandeur than my wife and my children.
Amazing. Okay, let's move to the next question. So, what 3 pieces of advice would you give to students or young professionals hoping to build a career in development or diplomacy?
Three bits of advice. So know yourself is the key one. Know your motivations, know your strengths, know the things that you need to develop, and be able to describe those and give evidence of those. Knowing your strengths and being able to describe them really, really key. I've already said the knowing your motivations piece, and that's really key. Look for stretch opportunities. Know the things that you may find a little bit more difficult, but that are going to be important, and put yourselves in situations which give you a chance to test those and build the muscle memory for those. Really key, and build your networks. Is the last one. And where that, some people are natural networkers. Again, some people need to work at that a bit harder. Know which you are, and again, be ready to put yourself into slightly uncomfortable situations. That's the way that things become comfortable to you by testing yourself in those.
Thank you so much. So, just to recap, know yourself. Look for difficult opportunities that stretch you, or do challenging things. And the third one, build your network. Thank you so much for...
Ori, you're doing a great job of summarizing. You would make my life a whole lot simpler if you were sitting beside me and able to do that all the time.
Because I'm moderating and I'm learning as well, so I put things down. Yeah. So thank you so much. Let's move to the next question. What legacy do you hope to leave in the field of development and diplomacy? More like, what do you want to be remembered for?
So that's partly about people. One of the things that gives me the greatest pleasure and motivation is helping other people to reach their potential, and where one of the nice things about the role I have now is I'm able to do that on a larger scale in some ways, and that's really, really important to me. So that legacy of knowing that I've helped people to reach their potential, and then there are right now, of course, one of the most important foreign policy objectives for the British government is stopping Russian aggression in Ukraine. And I am in one of the countries that, is important for that objective as a neighbouring country. I already mentioned the Azerbaijan-Armenia piece. There are parts of the role that feel, are satisfying but feel a little more ephemeral, and there are parts of the role that feel quite important at a time of, global turbulence and countries like Russia that are really looking to disrupt a rules-based order.
Thank you so much. So basically, helping people is a thing for you. You want to be remembered that you help people reach their potentials. I think that's important, and I think it's a good reminder for every one of us here as we go through our day, and by the time we get to the whatever career we want to do, it's important to always remember people. And I believe that people also remember what you've done for them as well. So takes me to my final questions. My final question, actually, just one more. If you could go back and give your younger self piece of advice, what would it be?
It's such a good question, and it's such a common question. I feel I should have an immediate answer to that. 2 pieces of advice. I mean, I think being confident to follow what is important to you. I feel I've probably been a diplomat for about 15 years, and I spent 3 years working in our human resources directorate in London. And I was working on diversity and inclusion. I was working on talent and performance management. I was working on leadership and leadership development. And it was a job that really kind of, I tapped back into a set of values that I had not thought about as directly for some time, and realised how important they were to me, and actually then realised how important they were in being a good leader in the organisation. And that really unlocked something in me, and actually unlocked something in my career development as well. So I think being, not being shy of your values and how important it is to follow those, and again being able to articulate those. If you want to support or mobilize people around you, that is tremendously important, and that's something I probably feel took me longer to learn than it should. So that's one. I can't think of a second immediately.
It's okay. Take your time. You can let us know we're still here. So I find that really fascinating as well. Not being shy of your values and what you hold there. I think a lot of us, sometimes we get shy or timid, and this is just a good reminder that whatever you hold there, like, be vocal about it, basically.
Yeah.
About it. Amazing.
And because it's, I guess one thing which I've learned over time, and which I talk to my children about, and I guess that's a bit like talking to my younger self in some ways, is don't assume that the direction that things are traveling at any one time is the way that they will continue to travel. I'm very conscious talking to you at the stage of the career that you're at, that the world feels a little bit different in 2025 than it did in 1998. And there was a real sense of kind of development optimism, and of, a direction of travel in terms of human rights or democratic development in lots of ways. It feels a bit different now, and recognizing, therefore, that there are things that you need to continue to fight for in order for things to move in the right direction is really important. Equally, I'm not saying that so that people should be pessimistic about the direction of travel now. It's that things will change over time, and we all have agency to bring about those changes.
Amazing. So basically, be adaptable. Things are not going to always remain the same. Be flexible, be open to more knowledge, and just being receptive. So,
and recognize you have agency to bring about change.
Agency, yeah. Thank you so much. So, just one more question. Anyone who is taking it?
Well, I've got more questions, but okay. If someone else wants to go first, they can go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to ask, what? So, what you mentioned earlier, in Thailand, your influence in policy and stuff. But what does everyday life look like in diplomacy and as ambassador?
So the brilliant thing about being an ambassador, and it's been true throughout my career, is that days are very different day to day. When I was back in Norwich in January for the development advisory board, I met some of your colleagues, and it was about a month after Christmas Day when unexpectedly, with my brother and his family and my wife and children around the table, news came in that an Azerbaijan Airlines plane had crashed. And it quickly became clear that there were suspicious reasons behind that crash. And so, immediately I left the Christmas table and was working with colleagues in the embassy to check whether first there were any British nationals involved in the crash. Was there a consular element to it? It quickly became clear that there weren't, but that there were serious political developments because the evidence pointed towards the plane having been shot down by accident, probably, rather than deliberately, but nonetheless shot down. And so, one of the things that you need to be ready for as an ambassador is that it doesn't matter that it's Christmas Day, something unexpected may happen, and you and working through your team need to be able to respond to that. And that means that there's always, when I leave the country, I do feel a certain weight lift. There is a certain level of responsibility when you are ambassador in a country. I also know that it's the best job I've ever done because of the sense of challenge and sometimes complexity and variety to it. That's one of the things that I know motivates me. So there are trade-offs to it and there are challenges to it, but it's also a fabulous thing to be able to do.
Thank you so much. I believe everyone has learned so much. But for those who joined a bit late, I'll just do a little bit of recap. So it's important to always remember what motivates you. Network and build your network. Basically, people around you will really help you a great deal. Third, storytelling. No one can tell your story better than you, so you have to start telling your stories. Next, know yourself and your values. Whatever you owe there, let people know, be vocal about it. Also, be adaptable. Things don't always go a certain way, so be willing to adjust. Then, fight. I've said that before in some way. Fight for what you owe there. Yeah, I'll say that again. Then the last one, in terms of maybe our career in development and diplomacy, it's important that you communicate with your family, and I always let them know what's happening, because at the end of the day, I believe they're all we've got. Thank you so much, Ambassador Fergus. This has been really enlightening, and I just want to say a big thank you to School of Global Dev as well. A big thank you to David for organizing this, and a big thank you to Oluwaseun as well. And thank you all for joining. It's been amazing being with you and hearing Ambassador Fergus take us around this journey and teach us more about himself. I believe I'll see everyone else in school. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ori. Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and thank you for sharing the love. I'm feeling it here in Baku.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ori. Thanks, Fergus. It was absolutely brilliant. Ori, you did an absolutely fantastic job. And Fergus, I'd love to be called Your Excellency, so I'll take it from you. So brilliant. Thank you, everybody.